Om. Namaste. Welcome you all for the classes on meditation. This is the 16th in the series. Well, we are trying to go in the path of Sage Patanjali as enunciated by the Yoga Sutras formulated by Patanjali. We are trying to look at why is it difficult for us to remain as a witness to all that is happening around us, why we misidentify and suffer. Towards this we are trying to go deep in terms of the kleshas, the avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha. These are the kleshas or the afflictions in the chitta or the samskaras, which really create a lot of problems if we do not understand and handle them properly, and they can become major stumbling block in realizing the full potential of meditation. And in that we have looked at raga, dvesha, asmita, and asmita is very subtle. That's why we are discussing more on this, and today also we will continue with that discussion. So be with me and be with Sage Patanjali to understand the deeper depths of these impressions or samskaras, and especially this klesha called asmita. We'll take up one more example which most of us are familiar with to uncover what this asmita is, because this is going to be a very major milestone in the path of meditation. So first sit upright, any comfortable posture. You can also sit on a chair. If sitting on the floor, sit at a little height. Palms should face upwards, tip of the thumb and index finger in contact. Relax your eyes, relax your tongue, nose, throat and the jaws. Now we are going to chant the sacred word Om, because this has soothing effect. But as you pronounce, watch the dynamics of the mind, what thoughts come, whether you are able to know the emergence of the thought and let go the thought, and just be with this chanting of Om completely, totally. So I have to slowly inhale. As we exhale, pronounce the word Om. You can join with me. Inhale. Om. 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 Be quiet. Feel the inner calmness. What was the mind doing? Were you able to be completely with the chanting of Om, or did thoughts come? Okay, chanting should not simply be mechanical sound. So slowly open your eyes. Now you can look at your screen. Let us go a little more into this aspect of Asmita. You can remember from the previous session, well, there's what happens. There is a drishya or something seen. You see through the physical eyes, then it goes to the brain, then the information comes to mind. Manas will integrate all the sensory messages, not just from the eyes, but from the ears, tongue, nose, skin, and then Chitta has all the previous experiences. You get to know what it is, then Buddhi will determine what to do. It is the faculty which decides, discriminates and decides. And basically this I-ness, that is I-amness, but this whole thing is based on this, because if it is not for this, so any thought that comes, the fundamental thought is the I thought. That I has to be there. Otherwise, you cannot really experience somebody's thought unless it belongs to you in that sense. So this I-ness is very subtle, and this whole thing is the mind stuff or the mind. But functionally they are different, but there is one single unit. So behind this is that Chaitanya or seer, Drik. Without this, this won't work. It is like, this is the filament of the bulb and this is the electricity. Without electricity, this doesn't matter. So it could be a refrigerator, TV, whatever. It can change. But this seer, drik, consciousness, that is unchangeable. And that is fundamental to all these things. So we have discussed this drik, drishya, viveka elaborately. We will take one more example today. But in all these things, all changes happen here in the field of the mind. That's why please remember, you must learn to distinguish and come to the understanding, instead of I am experiencing, to it is experiencing. This is important. So if there is any emotions, let us say sadness, it's not I am sad. No, it is sad. Which is sad? This mind stuff, but I remain unchanged. There is this drik or the seer or the consciousness, that being sad is never there because it's not subjected to any change. But this mind stuff can take different emotions. So you must learn in the first step from I am experiencing to it is experiencing, so that I or that drik is not identified with drishya. And if you identify, the problems begin. Towards this, we will look at a very familiar example of watching a movie in a theater. So there is a screen and the spectators are sitting. You are also one of the spectators. Now the movie is projected onto the screen, and well, you will see a lot of emotions on the screen. For example, there could be some angry situation where your whatever favorite hero is becoming angry because of some particular situation, and yes, you could be involved so much that you also feel angry. We have to remember that again, I am angry to it is angry. What is the difference? The difference is the following. The moment we wrongly identify, it will be I am angry. Your whatever hero, he faces a situation where he has to become angry, and if you think that I am angry, then because of that misidentification, your mind will start connecting to several situations in your life where you would have become angry, and it will trigger a range of thoughts even as you are watching the movie. But if you know that it is angry, that is, you are also, you see, that emotion will be there in you, but you know it is angry, so you are just experiencing that moment of anger without getting disturbed. Similarly, situation where you are a favorite hero or heroine is worried, depressed, well, wrong identification, you think that you are also worried, that depression, and then it can trigger a range of thoughts. So, wrong identification also does one more danger is that this impression will make an impact on your mind stuff. So, if you have seen a movie that is that has more content of sadness, even after the movie, you tend to carry that emotion. That that's the problem. But if you know that it is experiencing, of course, if there is some moment of sadness in the movie, it is not that if you do not have klesha, it is not that you smile. No, you will respond to that emotion, but you know that I am not sad. It is experiencing sadness. That's all. So you are there just that. It will not make another impression on your chitta. Similarly, fear. So in theaters, we see some such situations, then whatever that fear, if you think I am fear, I am experiencing fear, then it will trigger a lot of negative emotions. That's why many people cannot look at a horror movie. I mean, it is not that you should look at it, but understand my perspective that if you know that it is experiencing, I am the drik, consciousness, so there is no misidentification, then it cannot cause any further impression and it cannot trigger chain of other negative thoughts and emotions. And especially, sadness. In movies we see that if the hero heroine is crying, it's quite often that it strong identification, it makes one cry, that the tears that come there could also trigger that element of sadness, and once you do that, then that negative impression will trigger a lot of negative thoughts. For example, if he is crying because maybe he uh, has admitted his child in some hospital, I'm giving just one example, then that will trigger that strong identification. The mind will trigger that, okay, your child, you will remember about your child, and although it is healthy and playing somewhere, its health will become an issue for you imaginary, all imaginary. But this is what happens, that triggers, and that uh, misidentification will cause that. And if you are happen to see a movie which is tragedy, well, that impression you will carry post movie session. That is the problem. You will not come out of the movie very easily. But if you are not identifying, if this Asmita is not a klesha, you know that this is that. There is, it means the mind stuff is experiencing sadness, that's all. Because emotions, we are all emotional beings. Asmita as a klesha does not make us non-emotional. It will only give us the ability so that the emotions cannot overpower us. The emotions cannot trouble us. Emotions will not trigger other unnecessary thoughts. That's the idea. So that's why this misidentification we should keep on contemplating. So anyway, today most people happen to watch some movie or serials. So just see whether you can distinguish between this. I am experiencing to it is experiencing. So that Asmita does not become a klesha. If you misidentify, then it becomes a klesha. Similarly, when there is a situation of happiness in the movie, yes, you should also laugh, smile, share that emotion. That is very healthy because we are not rocks, that whatever is happening, we remain expressionless and emotionless. So this distinction has to be properly understood. You also feel happy, elated, but you again know that it is experiencing happy instead of I am experiencing happiness. Initially, this distinction uh, looks little difficult, but with little practice, you will know the major difference between it is experiencing to I am experiencing. I am happy to it is happy. I am sad to it is sad. I am angry to it is angry. So that transformation is very, very important. Then if we reach that state, then whatever you watch, that's it. This movie, whatever the emotions in the movie, you will not carry. That's it. You know that it is the situation, it has to be like that. That's it. Then your mind stuff again immediately regains that calmness. The emotional imprints will not be there. Emotional disturbances will not be carried. So this movie thing, please you can extend it to all situations in life because life is also a drama. To drive this concept little more deeper, let us imagine the situation of floods. You can see here difference between watching the floods versus caught in the floods. If you are watching the floods, you are not in the flood, then it becomes no problem. You are not disturbed. You are calm. But if you are caught in the floods, now you imagine if you are already you are neck deep into the floods and more water is coming up, then it triggers the emotion of fear. Then you start imagining a lot of things. Uh, we have heard a lot of people are caught up in the floods. A lot of other thoughts will come. One negative emotion of fear will trigger a lot of things. A person caught in the flood, he may remember his family, wife, children, or husband, whatever, and it could trigger a host of anxious moments. But if you are not caught in the flood, if you are looking at the flood, it makes a huge difference. So, this example you should look at only to drive the principle that in this figure it is experiencing. Here I am experiencing. So that is the big difference. So once you know that, then this asmita you will understand and it will not remain as a klesha. So we will come back to our familiar movie example. Now we know that it is experiencing, not I am experiencing. And how is this possible? In the previous session, we saw that it's all the consciousness or the drik or the seer. That consciousness is represented by Om. So once you know that it is experiencing and I, the consciousness, is ever the same, not subjected to any modifications, then the situation will become this, where Om, instead of all the spectators, replaced by this consciousness. This is one major step. So without this consciousness, there is no way of watching the movie, because this is the fundamental. Only if the consciousness exists, consciousness will always be existing. What I mean to say is, because of that consciousness uses the mind and the body, and all the experiences are subjected to body and the mind. But this consciousness, which enables this body and mind to experience, is itself not changing. So when we reach that stage, we know that, well, the emotions are not going to disturb us, they are not going to overpower us. That's the main thing. Now we will go to a little more the Vedantic thoughts. How was it possible for the movie to be seen by us? Very simple question. Answer is very simple: because of the screen. But for this screen, movie cannot be projected. So this is called the Adhisthana. This is the foundation, this is fundamental. This is the support. Without this, there is no way you can project the movie. So this screen, and on this screen we saw a lot of emotions. We saw anger, sadness, disgust, happy, all different emotions we saw on the screen. All the modifications are taking place. But the screen itself is changeless. It is just a witness. It is just a witness to all that is happening on it. Without this, nothing is possible, without this screen. So the screen itself does not change, but it is essential, and it does not interfere with what is happening. Now look at this. The seer. The seer is also changeless, nirvikara. Without this seer consciousness, there is no question of seeing. Similarly, the screen, without this, there is no movie possible. And this is also nirvikara. This also doesn't change. And what Vedanta says is, even this means don't think that screen, but this is just a simile. Even this screen, or now you have to extend this thought to things that are happening in and around us, whatever. So that whole thing, all that is happening in our life, that is also because of whatever that is also consciousness, that is the support. In this example, this whole screen on which the drama or movie is being played is also this same consciousness. So, tat tvam asi. You are same as that. So this is the next step of Vedanta. It says that this whole thing, you are also consciousness. All that exists is only consciousness, and in this other things, your body, mind, which are generally called as Prakriti, that is changing. This consciousness or Purusha is non-changing. But right now, it's good for us to note that instead of I am experiencing, it is experiencing. That conceptual understanding should come, that should be implemented so that you know that you are not misidentifying yourself with the body mind. So that in the same life drama, we are not overpowered by the emotional upheavals, and we remain in that bliss. And this is the promise of Seth Patanjali, that anybody who takes his path will definitely arrive at that destination of bliss. We shall bow to such great Patanjali. श्री कृष्णार्पणमस्तु. श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. शुभमस्तु.